Listen, he's writing in the Times this morning talking about Thomas Tuchel's squad. He says it's a mess. There's work to be done, of course, but they have made some good signings, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sterling for me is a great signing. I think he's going to do really well for the football club. I think he's undervalued in the Premier League for what he does. But they need a couple more centre halves. You know, I've been speaking to Jason, who I work with on Sports Bar, and he obviously says if we started the season tomorrow, he would be worried about top four. They need a couple more signings. They need to bring in a couple of centre halves. But I think Thomas Tuchel is a class act. I love the way he talks, everything about him. So I wouldn't be too concerned just yet because I think he knows how to get the best out of a team. But, I mean, losing 4-0 to Arsenal is never good, but it is pre-season.
Koulibaly in. Koundé looks like he's going to go to Barcelona. What more does Chelsea need to do, or do Chelsea need to do? We've got Tony Cascarino back with us. Hello, Tony, you right?
Hello. I have no idea what that was, but I could hear you perfectly. But yeah, good. So carry on, Laura.
Right. So I was going to say, if you could give us a little bite-sized version of what you've written in the Times. You're saying that the squad's a mess. Do you fear for Chelsea this season?
Well, I looked at the squad over the weekend, and there's best part of 45 players in it, which is way too much. Now, within that, Laura, there's a lot of players whose futures at Chelsea are uncertain. You know, from like, you look at the weekend, you look at Emerson, you look at Aspilicueta, Alonso. You've got obviously N'Golo Kante, who didn't play, but who is again his future. And I think go through the squad and Batshuayi, players like that who have been out on loan have come back, and I feel that there's so much uncertainty within that squad. Take Timo Werner, who's made it quite clear he would like to go and move on and play elsewhere because he wants more game time for the World Cup. Now, that's littered in Chelsea's squad, where a number of players, I think, way too many. And also you have to add in the departures at the top end of the club. Now, that doesn't always affect what happens on the field, but from Bruce Buck to Mourinho to Petr Cech, it's too much change at Chelsea. It's becoming a bit messy.
What do you think, Ali?
Well, I'll tell you, I actually agree with Cass. I don't get overly concerned, Cass, and I think Jamie agrees. I don't get overly concerned with pre-season results and pre-season performances. Of course you want to win, but I think we're all in agreement the main objective is to get your players fit for the start of the season. But the start of the season is coming very, very soon. And there is a little bit of a mismatch looking at that squad. You've mentioned the guys that I think won't be there very, very shortly, whether it's Emerson, Aspilicueta, Werner. You could actually name, if you go into Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, you could name 7 or 8 or 9 or even 10 players that could be on their way, Cass. But the most important thing, I think, for Chelsea supporters now is people coming incoming, because at the centre of defence, and they looked all over the place against Arsenal. I know it's pre-season, I'm contradicting myself a little bit. I know it's pre-season, but they did look all over the place, particularly on the right-hand side of the park defensively. And I think Sterling will be a good signing, but I still think they need a centre forward that will get them 20-25 goals a season, mate.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right, you and Jamie, when you mentioned pre-season. I recognise that. I was talking about Everton last week within pre-season, and you have to be very careful how you assess a pre-season game. But within that, there is, we are coming to the end of pre-season, which you need to be a bit closer to. Is it, looking at the result of the weekend, was it that big of a surprise to considering what Arsenal did to Chelsea at the end of last season when they went to Stamford Bridge and literally battered them? So I'm always a bit conscious of pre-seasons, and rightly so. But if you listen to the 2 press conferences given by the managers, Arteta totally plays it down. It's a friendly. Okay, the momentum, it's great for that. We've had a good pre-season. He totally plays it down. And then you had Thomas Tuchel, who didn't play it down, who said lack of commitment, desire to get to closing down, all the hard stuff, the hard work he talked about within his squad. And I thought it was noticeable that a number of the players, and we've been there in pre-season, it looked like they were just not... They're thinking, well, I'm not going to be part of this first team or in the starting 11 this year. It felt that type of performance to me.
What do you think, if you could predict next season and you feel like who's going to be in the top 4, Cass, in your opinion, from what you've seen?
Well, I would still... I mean, I think Spurs will definitely make it. I would have said last season there I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have said they would have made it. They did. I think this year, I think they look a far superior team. I definitely would, obviously, Man City and Liverpool. Núñez has got to work for Liverpool. But I would say Chelsea are fighting for that next spot. Whether they do it, at the moment, and it's not off a pre-season result. I think it comes down to what Ali said. If they can get enough out, which is going to be a bit of an issue because they're all on so much money. And then getting the right people in, Chelsea will be fine because they're financed to a level that they can really be aggressive in the transfer market and pay good wages. But if you said to me, have Arsenal got an opportunity here more than Man United, I would say yes. I would think, not because they beat Chelsea at the end of the season and in pre-season. I think Arteta's been long enough at the club to do what he needs to do to give the chance. I mean, last year, although Arsenal didn't get there, I thought they learnt a lot, and I thought Arteta knew that this wasn't quite good enough. So I need to reinforce in what they did. I think Chelsea are very vulnerable to Arsenal this year.
Cass, tell me what you think, because there's one or two levels of criticism, and there is a very, very fine balance. And Jamie and I were speaking about it earlier on this morning. Tuchel's, we heard his interview, mate, and it was brilliant in the respect. It was honest. It was how he felt, and I didn't mind it at all. But you could almost see him, his mind moving and ticking at what he was wanting to say, because he didn't want to be overcritical of his players because he knows he needs them. However, I didn't have a problem with it, what he was saying at all. And I think those kind of managers nowadays are few and far between.
Yes, I think you're right. Look, Ali, we've all been there in dressing rooms when we know things are not done right, and we all have to take it on the chin, get on and move into the next game. Now, Chelsea haven't got that much time to get things right for the start of the season because there's so much has happened at the football club. From it being sold, new owner, loads of people upstairs moving on, and also the playing squad has had to be reinforced. So there's loads of change. Now, does that come at a price? I think it will do initially. It will cost Chelsea points, certainly in the early part of the season. I just can't see that much change being done for the start. So, yes, Tuchel in many ways is the type of manager we love to hear, and he's being honest on what he's saying. There's a bigger problem, though, for Tuchel is you take his midfield against Arsenal the weekend. If you said to me Jorginho, Gallagher and Mason Mount were the midfield, that's to me, a midfield that don't make challenges and is not it's more, I would say out of all of them, Mason Mount would probably be the most tenacious. Jorginho's a player that I'm never quite sure how he fits in Chelsea. I always feel they've got other options that are better. And when he was voted, I was on air with Adrian Durham, and he was, saying, "Is he, could he be a Ballon d'Or winner?" And I said, "Well, he's not even in the top three best midfielders at Chelsea, so I don't see how that works." And that's, I think he's one of them again that could be out the club and probably knows what's going on behind the scenes.
All right, Cass, we'll let you go. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, bye-bye. Good day.
Take care. Tony Cascarino, former Chelsea and Ireland striker on talkSPORT Breakfast.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.